Hey friends, Jen here. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to Home Set Heal. Okay, before we dive into a conversation years in the making today, I want to highlight the President's Day sauna sale going on right now until February 28th. No joke, this sale is the lowest and best prices you're not only going to see in 2025, but ever. There's unfortunately a price increase happening in a few weeks for all Clearlight saunas across the board. So if you've been on the fence for one or you've contacted me in the past looking for pricing, please know I can't hold prices beyond February 28th, and the increase is significant. So trust me when I say today is the best day to invest in your health in a Clearlight sauna. I promise this isn't some cliche sales pitch. I would never do that to you. It's me honestly telling you that prices are definitely changing in a few weeks, and I want you to move forward if this is something that's been on your list. So take this as the message to move the needle of your health and well-being. You all know I absolutely love my sauna, and it's my favorite wellness tool. I literally plan my travel around it wherever I go and I'm on the road, as well as my mom has one, which makes it very convenient when I head up north to visit her. It's the tool I used to help me shed over 100 pounds years ago, and it's still the tool I use to help me stay on track to this day. It keeps my mind clear and my detox pathways open in this crazy toxic soup we're all living in. I could go on and on about why I think heat therapy is one of the best wellness therapies on the planet. But please don't just take my word for it. There's tons of research and centuries of statistics to support it. Hop on over to jenhellerlifestyle.com to peruse all the options and find the sauna that fits your life the best. So, speaking of saunas, today I am over the moon to be joined by not only a longtime dear friend, but the brains, creator, and pioneer who blazed the trail of infrared saunas 3 decades ago, Dr. Raleigh Duncan, CEO and founder of Sauna Works, Inc., the makers of Clearlight saunas. Okay, full disclosure, Raleigh is not only a friend and mentor, but he has literally helped to shape and create the infrared sauna educator that I am today. I can't even put into words the incredible amount of knowledge and business wisdom I've learned from him over the years. It's truly immeasurable. I have not only a deep level of respect for our friendship, but an enormous amount of gratitude for his passion, values, and integrity as a person and someone I consider a partner in business. I've worked with Clearlight Saunas for over 15 years, and the opportunity and partnership has changed my life, plus the many thousands of people I've had the opportunity to help and connect with over the years. I'm beyond grateful for not just their wellness products, but their integrity to create what I think is the safest, most effective infrared sauna on the market. Listen, I know there are other sauna companies. In fact, I know many of them well, and some of them are even good. One company even offered me a very lucrative opportunity a few years back, but it was a hard no. We all know it's a pay-to-play world out there, especially in the wellness world. But one thing I'll never waver on is brand loyalty. Integrity matters, and that's one of the many characteristics and qualities I admire most about Raleigh. If you know him, you know what I'm talking about. He's exactly the guy who would create the most amazing light energy healing tool and dedicate his life to bring wellness into businesses and homes across the globe. He's also the guy who inspired me to dedicate my life to bringing awareness to the many benefits of infrared heat and why I wake up every day with a burning desire to share it with you. So a quick highlight about Raleigh, he actually founded Sauna Works in his garage in 1996 after seeing firsthand the healing benefits found from using an infrared sauna. He believed that there was tremendous business potential for this unique product long before most people had even heard of an infrared sauna. Nearly 30 years later, his company is the most well-respected infrared sauna company in the world, and he holds numerous infrared patents that allow more efficacious healing in the saunas they manufacture. Friends, please sit back and relax into one of my favorite conversations to date. Please welcome Dr. Raleigh Duncan to the show. Are you struggling with low energy, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, or heavy metal and mold toxicity? Do you want to learn more about anti-aging tips and creating more longevity in your life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and home health consultant. In this podcast, Home Set Heal, I will teach you how to transform your home into a health and wellness sanctuary. Your health is your wealth, and I believe that your home should be your sanctuary space, loaded with the tools you need to thrive in your life, not just survive. If you want to feel fantastic and transform your life and home, grab a pen Let's dive in and create a home that heals. Hey friends, welcome back to another show of Homes That Heal. Today, we've got a very special guest, a friend of mine, Dr. Raleigh Duncan. Raleigh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is kind of a full circle conversation and day for me because we've not only been friends for a very long time, but you are the owner and brains behind Clearlight Saunas, which everybody knows is my favorite brand of sauna. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the story of Clearlight and how it all began. So walk me through where you were the day you decided the world needed an infrared sauna.
I think that the day was somewhere a little after that I figured I needed an infrared sauna. And that came, I had been in the machine tool business selling computer controlled machinery for manufacturing. And I came out to California to become a chiropractor. And I had 2 teenage daughters with me. And so I knew I wasn't going to make it on the student loans. So I turned my home into a day spa. I went up to Harbin Hot Springs and took massage course, a 10-day course, and I was in business. So I bought a used hot tub for $500. And I saw one of these infrared saunas that was advertised in the back of a magazine. This was 30 years ago. And I thought that would be great. So I bought 2 of them because if you bought 2 of them, you could become a dealer.
Oh, geez.
And you got a better price. So here I am. I'm in chiropractic school. I'm massaging people like crazy to keep my head above water financially. And I started going in the sauna. And I started noticing these huge changes happening in my body, happening in the bodies of the people I was putting on my massage table. That if you are familiar with people that do massage, we always wait until the point when the person on the table, they either will go, or you'll just feel them melt into the table. And usually that's, 15, 20 minutes into the massage. And that's when I think that's when the massage really starts. Before was just warming up. So I'd put people in the infrared sauna and I'd put them on the table. They were already there. And I'd feel their paraspinal muscles, the long muscles on either side of the spine and the traps and all the things. And they were melted. They were relaxed. They were in a very relaxed state. So I could do much more in the massage. So then I thought, there's really something here. And I got interested in this as a business. So I took it to the Whole Life Expo, which is very hippie and trippy in downtown San Francisco. I loaded it into my VW bus, the 2-person sauna, one of the ones I had, and I was off and running. And that was how it started. But it was really seeing what it did to people and then myself of the changes that happened, sleeping better, more relaxed, my skin got softer. And that was the start of it. So that was, a long time ago, 95, something like that.
Wow. You've never told me that story, actually.
Is that right? Yeah.
No. That brings a whole meaning because we've talked so many times about these different shows and all these expos that we've trotted around to all across the country. I can completely resonate with, let's haul this thing into the back of the SUV and get this downtown and just see what happens. See who shows up.
Yeah. I sold 8 saunas at that show. So this is before the internet. The internet, we were just finding that you could text, send people messages, and we were writing 5-page letters. And then we figured out you can't do that. That's not sustainable. And then I was going to home and garden shows, take the sauna to a home and garden show. And people had no idea. Infrared sauna? Was that an outhouse? What is that? So that was the beginning. And then at some point I was practicing, I graduated, and I was running the company and seeing patients in my office. And I realized I couldn't do both well. So I had to make it. Had to pick the lane, and I saw I could reach more people with the saunas. And so this business of saunas, infrared saunas, and then designing saunas and moving the technology, that became my practice. This is how that existential crisis I had, where I saw back when I was in the machine tool business in Ohio, that if I didn't give back, I pictured myself on my deathbed, and it was sort of like, oh, you putz, you didn't give back. So it was in that effort. So that's the spirit that we brought to this. And every change that we've made in the sauna has been to help people to heal. And it's been a great, great ride.
What a journey. You know my story, and everybody listening does. I was heavy metal toxic about 15 years ago, and in a pretty bad way, needed to find a safe sauna. Met with my friend and practitioner. We flew out to California. Clearlight was at one of the David Wolf conferences back in the day, another conference. And I spent an entire week completely absorbing all of the information about what infrared heat can do. Now, I'm from Wisconsin, so obviously I know what a traditional sauna is. Heat therapy isn't new, but this infrared, the light energy, was completely new to me. And I was also a little scared, obviously, because I had these metals in my body that I needed to figure out how to get out safely. And I spent an entire week just totally blown away by the capability, but also this light energy that exists that can really heal the body. And, you know, I've talked about this a million times. Obviously, I bought a sauna, brought it home, worked through my process to detox. But one of the overarching things that I will never forget after meeting you and understanding the mission behind Clearlight Saunas and what you do is healing and wellness. It's not just creating a box with heaters. You're creating wellness and full body wellness. And so I think we can all resonate with your example of when you lay on the massage table and you wait 10, 15 minutes for your body to, that's how a person feels. That's the experience you get when you step into a Clearlight infrared sauna, is the body just melts and everything just kind of washes away. So I know there's a lot that goes into this, but one of your core missions is safety, efficiency, designing something that's really going to work and harmonize with the body. So can you speak to that a little bit? And as you, I know you've become the pioneer in the industry over the last 3 decades, but can you walk me through that evolution?
Well, I think it was because that was the mission. The mission was to heal the body. So we wanted to make incremental changes to do what we do better. And detox was really big. That was the biggest thing. We didn't know about all the other things that the infrared sauna was going to do. So if you remember back in that period of time, the heaters were ceramic or metal. And the surface temperature was really hot. And I read an article and I was doing research, reading research, some out of Japan, different places about detoxing with a resonant frequency. So that means that from the heater, if you could get into certain wavelengths, we give off infrared at 9.8 micron from our bodies. And if we can give back infrared to the bodies, the research showed, and this is what these researchers out of Japan were positing, that you can get the cells to vibrate if you will give that same wavelength back to the body. So the problem was you can see the wavelength distribution from any heater. If you take the surface temperature and you plug in Wien's law, Planck's law, it will show you what the wavelengths are. And it's a distribution like that. It's not one wavelength. And so I was stymied because these were the heaters and they weren't giving a lot of that wavelength. So I saw this flat panel, carbon heater out of Japan. And I went, wow, that's great. It spreads the heat out. So the wavelengths are more in the range that I want, but they had a big problem. They had high EMF. This was back in the days before the electronic handheld. It was all like for EMF, it was, a dial or a little needle went up and it just buried the needle above 100 milligauss. So EMF is measured in milligauss. So we said, well, I want to put these in. I've already determined these are the wavelengths I want, but I can't do that until I take the EMF out. Jen, it took us 3 years working with a heater manufacturer in Korea to silence the EMF. We tried all these things. We put mesh and put 12 volt across that to try and do this. And by the time we got the EMF silenced, there was no heat left. So finally the big breakthrough came when we took 2 heaters and put one at opposite poles. So the heater, the carbon heater, has copper strips in it and a carbon matrix that the electrons run across. There's resistance and conductivity So where the resistance is, that's what gives off the heat. So it's running and hertz, you've heard 60 hertz. So 60,000 times a second, that's 60 hertz. That the energy, the alternating current is alternating. So what that means in a sine wave like this, 60,000 times a second, at the top of that, EMF is being projected out. And at the bottom of it, EMF is being projected out only in an opposite pole. So what we did was put one heater on top of the other one, aligned in a different direction, and the EMF came and silenced.
Wow.
So it's huge.
I was going to say, do you remember that day when you figured that out?
I was just so ecstatic when I brought the heater in and tested it and went, oh my God, we did this. And so that really gave us a leg up in the marketplace. And there were other people making infrared saunas at that time, and we were designing them. And it's very exciting to start putting it out. And I can remember our competitors saying, oh, EMF, EMF, no problem. You could 1,000 milligauss, no problem. That's not going to hurt you, And we changed the whole industry. We it took everybody about 2 years before they came out. And we have a patent on this, but we've never exercised it because I really don't want to prevent people. I don't want people sitting in a high EMF. World Health Organization recommends not being in any sustained long period, more than a few minutes, in more than 1 milligauss. And think of that. Somebody saying, 1,000 milligauss, no problem.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Anyway, sorry to go on, but that was the story. And that's what happened. And that really put us on the map as people started to understand about EMF and what that was about. So,
yeah. And no need to apologize. This is actually one of the hottest topics, one of the biggest things. We could probably do an entire show just on this, to be honest, because I think you and I can agree in the last, I would say in the last 5 to 7 years. I mean, we've been in this a bit. You've been in it for decades, but there's this shift that's happening where I think people are looking inward at their health and well-being. Obviously, the internet is the world wide web of information. So there's so much, we're inundated with information, obviously sometimes too much. However, I'm grateful for the expansion of the internet so that this information can get out so that you don't have to fly to California and then sit in a room in an expo hall and go, why isn't everybody else talking about this? Why doesn't everybody else know this? Well, now everybody does. And so
it's true.
The EMF conversation is happening and it feels a little scary. I mean, every day I get calls from people that are like, what is this EMF? Why do I need to care about this? What is it actually going to do? And so the education around it is important. People need to understand what they're buying and what they're sitting in for 30 to 45 minutes at a time. Especially for me, I had heavy metal toxicity, which a lot of people do. That's like throwing a tinfoil ball into a microwave.
That's right. I never thought of that, but you're correct.
That's the analogy that I share with people. It's like, well, you can head out and go buy a more economical sauna, but here's what you could be doing to exacerbate a situation that you have going on. We'll come back to the EMF thing because we're going to do a rapid fire question thing here shortly.
Oh, cool.
I think that, and obviously we've evolved. Do you want to mention anything about ELF? I know that there's not as much conversation, but
it's kind of funny because I'll tell you this story. We sold a sauna soon after we had brought out the low EMF heater sauna and very excited and full of ourselves. Look at us, we did it. Yay. And so I get a call from a woman in LA. She bought a sauna and she says, I have an EMF specialist here. Oh, by the way, I went to GeoVital. I'm certified as a specialist in this after the fact. And she said, and he's measuring high ELF. And I said, lady, in my mind, I said, we said we would give you a low EMF measured in milligauss sauna, not ELF. I don't even know what that was. I would, and then I went away and for about a week, I was really angry. I was like, what's it? I don't, after 3 years, we have another problem that I didn't even know what that was. So ELF, extra light frequency, is measured not in milligauss, but in volts per meter. So after a week, I said, okay, we've got to take this on. I studied it. And so we had put a carbon mesh or not a carbon mesh, but just a mesh in front of the heaters. So it's a very wide mesh. So if you touch the heater, you won't burn your finger. So how we dealt with the EMF was we carbonized that mesh And then if you ever look under our saunas, under the bench, and you'll see green wires, that's attached to every mesh, and that's taking that away. And that's how we did it. It was very simple. And I don't think there's, people with flat panel heaters are doing that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else is doing it. I don't even think anyone else is talking about it, because when I mention it to people, or when we talk about it, I would say 9.5 out of 10 people have no idea what I'm talking about. Because the tell always is, if another company's not talking about it, it's because they're not doing it, right? And it's not something that I don't want people to go down another rabbit hole, but I think it's what really just sets Clearlight apart from others, is just that extra level, the evolution of creating more safety, more healing, creating a better environment, I think. So in general, what did you call it? I thought it was extra low frequency. Did you say extra light frequency?
Extra, it can be, I hear it also as electrical field, extra low frequency, extra light frequency. But if it's measured in volts per meter, that's what we're talking about. And it's just as injurious as the EMF. So it's, I think it's intent. Not that we're, great guys. I mean, I think we are kind of great guys, but
I think you're great.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just, damn it, people are out there, they're sick. And they find a sauna, they think they're healing, but then, oh, I didn't know that sauna has high EMF and I'm actually getting worse. That's just not fair,
Right. Yeah. And what's interesting, and one of my favorite things that I like to share with people is, I spend the majority of my day highlighting the differences between, Clearlight versus others, not so much throwing other companies under the bus. That's just not a good energy to be in. But I encourage people to look for this information, but also not just follow the crafty marketing, to actually ask for the proof. Ask a company, can you share the results, share the report, so that you understand what you're buying, so that when you bring something like this into your home and you have an expectation that it's going to help you to heal, that it's going to in fact do that for you. So it's just education. And I think we're all doing a good job of sharing that out. So in the line of frequency, one of the biggest questions that I get asked, and I know you and I've talked about this, the difference between full spectrum and red light therapy. And on the cusp of that, my part B of that is, I want to come back to, or maybe you can coin it into your talk, why did you create a red light therapy tower? Red light therapy, PBM. So let's chat about that for a minute.
Okay. Listen, I'll talk about what we call our full spectrum heaters that are halogen heaters. And there's 3 bands of infrared. As you know, there's near, mid, and far infrared. We give off far infrared from our bodies. And I really resisted. If you go to Europe, I would say 90% of all the saunas, what Europe started with, instead of these flat panel, they started with these halogen heaters that are long. And that's been the European standard for infrared saunas. So we give off far infrared. Far infrared has that resonant frequency. It's a very nice heat. It's the feeling of being hugged by 30 people. It's because we're giving off that heat. And then you have mid, which is a little shorter wavelength. And that's good for wound healing, different things. And there's the near, mid, and far. You have the near infrared. And so a near infrared's interesting, because I told you about how water vibrates. It's actually, water is captured by infrared in the far and mid range. But when you go to near, it goes straight through deeper into the body, because it is not captured by water. That's when I found that out, I said, okay. And I was resisting, I have some resistance. Sometimes I get set in my ways, and I'm looking at these far infrared heaters are working. We don't need this halogen stuff. The Europeans, what do they know? You think about all these things. And then when I saw that the near infrared actually is going to go in deeper, I thought, let's do that. And really, the halogen heaters, the far infrared, because they're a lot, they're not super hot as you would think. And everybody's thinking sauna, it has to be hot, but infrared doesn't heat the air very well. Right. But the near infrared comes from the halogens, and that was really why I made the decision, is they heat up the cabin really well. People are happier. And if they feel a lot of heat blasting at them, it's just cultural. A sauna is a place where the air is hot. No, not always.
Right. So for somebody, and this is the question I get asked every day. Somebody calls and says, Jen, why would I need full spectrum? I don't know what I need. How would you answer that?
You can, we sell a whole line of saunas that is far infrared, our premier line. And so obviously that's fine. And you can optionally put a full spectrum heater on the door. That was another concept we came up with, was the rationale of, while you're in the sauna, what else can we put in there? So we have a placeholder, 2 holes in the door. If you don't have anything hanging on the door, there's little metal pieces screwed in, and we have receptacle in the floor right by there. So you can add a red light, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can add another halogen heater if you want. So you don't have to commit to a full spectrum. You can get a far infrared sauna and you're going to heal really well. But I really have come to enjoy the feeling of my full spectrum heaters. They just kick out a lot of heat. Right. And
that's usually what I tell, what I share is that I'm a heat warrior. I love the heat. I've owned at my studio, we have the sanctuary saunas. At my home, I've had the premier. So I've owned all of I've owned all Clearlight saunas at one point.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Every size. I used to actually remember the little corner triangle unit?
Oh, yeah. That one, the little one-person corner.
The one-person corner.
One. Yeah.
I love that sauna. It was one of my first saunas.
It's very cute. Yeah.
It's gone now, so hopefully nobody falls in love with that idea. So I've owned all of these saunas. I've sat in both of them, and I think they're both fantastic. But I think the overarching message is, if you're a heat warrior or somebody who really likes the heat intensity, the full spectrum is where it's at. Like, that's what you're going to enjoy the most, because it's going to give that level of intensity. People who are confusing that or looking for the near infrared and the red light therapy or the benefits of near infrared, let's chat about that for a minute, because that's hot topic right now. That's my everyday. I've got that in my inbox. People wondering, what is the difference between the two and what are the benefits of each? Like, why would one person, I think we've established one as the heater. Let's talk about red light therapy and why you put this in the sauna.
Yeah. So like I said, we designed to put the red light, and we make red light in different sizes. The core tower is the one that we set up for the sauna. And so red light is normally how it's being presented now is 660 nanometers and 880 nanometers. So you have a visible red light that does some great things for the body. And you also have near infrared. And the biggest thing in healing and light therapy has been PBM, photobiomodulation. And that's basically photobiomodulation. Everyone knows that if you go out in the sun, you get narrowband UVB into your body, and we synthesize vitamin D. Okay, so the same thing happens in your body with this red light, with the 880 and 660 and near, but it's called photobiomodulation. It's actually putting energy, and I won't go into great detail, it's cytochrome oxidase C enzyme and all how this happens, but it actually puts energy from that light, or the near, which is not a light, it's just a wavelength, into the cell of the body, into the mitochondria of the body in the form of ATP. So what that means, our cell lives are extended. You have a cell that has normally a shelf life of X and it's going to die, and we have trillions of cells. But by having this red light come at you in these specific wavelengths and the specific intensities, your cells will live longer. So that's anything that gets that is going to function at a higher level. So you're going to have healing at a different level. Men will get boosted testosterone. There's just so many things. It is the definition of anti-aging.
Yeah.
So I want as much of that as I can get.
I was going to say, and I don't know too many people who aren't saying yes, please to that. I think I've shared this with you. I know I've talked about it on my show before, but I have one of the original red light therapy towers, like one of the very first that came out, because I suffered a stroke, years ago with the left side paralysis, and my left hand was in a fist for a few years. And
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was part of the
It's
heavy
good
metal
we do
toxicity.
this, you know?
I know. We need to spend more time chatting. Yeah. So from the heavy metals, a combination, it was kind of the perfect storm. It was, years ago when I was a teenager, was an explosion, suffered a massive concussion on the right side of the brain. Add into that a bunch of stress and some things that were going on, the heavy metal toxicity.
Yeah.
And then boom, the body's just like shuts down. Like, no, thank you. Like, we're done here. So I woke up. I remember when the stroke happened, it was late in the evening. And then I just went to sleep. I didn't know what was going on. I just went to bed. Actually, I was on my way up to the upstairs to our bedroom. But I woke up the next morning and the left side of the body was numb.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
pretty in my left hand. Ultimately was in a fist for about 3 years. And so the red light therapy, so I worked through some things, chiropractic, all these different things, got these different tests, figured out what was going on, started healing and treating the body, using my sauna, heat therapy, putting my body into parasympathetic state because, quite frankly, the match that lit the fire was the stress in my life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it was understanding, what do I need to do to bring that down and put the body into a state of healing? Well, the sauna did that for me. And then, you charge in the red light. As soon as I did my research on red light therapy, I understood how the body responds to it from a nerve and regeneration standpoint and what it does to the mitochondria. As soon as you guys said the red lights were available, I bought one. And I remember Mark and I were sitting in our sauna. At that time, I had a larger corner unit. Mark and I were one of the ISCs. We're sitting in the sauna. I flip on the red light. Now, Raleigh, my hand hadn't really, other than moving it, like from here up to I had strength, but my left hand was pretty like dead versus within 5 minutes, I had my left hand sitting on my knee.
Never heard this.
Yeah. God. Left hand sitting on my knee. Within 5 minutes of the red light on it, the nerves all on the backs of my left hand started jumping and twitching.
Wow.
No joke.
Talk about photobiomodulation.
Exactly. And so I remember looking down and tears were just streaming down my face. And Mark was like, what is happening? Because you could see it, like the whole hand, everybody's, where it twitches. And my whole hand was just activated. And I could feel like this life force energy kind of going down the arm. And I just knew that this was another thing that I could do to help heal and bring my body back. Now, my hand is not 100%. We're still working through some fine motor function skill stuff, but I can move it. I can open doors. I can do things with it.
That's amazing.
And I credit, of course, there's a lot of things. I've got the hyperbaric chamber. I do some other things.
Sure.
The oxygen chamber played a huge part into revitalizing the brain, but that red light, I still sit to this day sometimes with now I sit face on to it, but sometimes, especially in the winter months when it's real cold and sometimes gives me some trouble with the left side body, 10, 15 minutes of that red light, it just activates. It just does something to my body.
Amazing.
And it's fantastic. So I can't believe, I guess I can that I've never shared that.
We're always talking business and this sauna's coming there. Okay. And then with this and blah, blah, blah,
I know it's been a journey we've been on, but this is why I'm so passionate about it. This is why,
yeah, me too.
You are the reason. Your mission and your values and why you do what you do is why I do what I do. To be honest, you've been not only a great friend, but a huge mentor in my life, but you've created healing tools that have changed my life. So this is why I elevate these conversations. So thank you for that. So before we get off the red light topic, I want to ask you, for the person who's wondering, should I do red light in the sauna or out of the sauna? Because I know this is a conversation right now about potential sweat barrier. How do you answer, or how can you explain?
I don't understand that rationale of wavelengths not getting through sweat. So that would mean that my whole idea of infrared as a wavelength coming into the body in an infrared sauna would be thwarted by sweat. So once you started sweating, then no wavelengths would be doing anything. And that's ridiculous. That's not been my experience. So I haven't seen anything to that effect happening. And the other thing we do in our red light is we have variable optics. We're putting the wavelengths, the light and the near, at you from different angles to penetrate the flesh and as deeply as we can and get as much. Yeah, I never heard of that concept, and it hasn't borne fruit. I'd like to see a study saying that, it's
exactly. That's what my thought was. I know there's a bit of conversation around it, and that's why I wanted to ask. I was curious what your thoughts were on it, because I always see infrared as light to skin, as long as it travels in a straight line, and as long as you are in the vicinity of it, or you're sitting in front of this red light, whether you have sweat on the body or not, which I wipe the sweat off my skin, obviously, when I'm sitting in the sauna, which allows the skin to breathe and continue to produce or keep those detox pathways open. But
yeah, well, just basically we're made of water, a high percentage, I see different percentages of what we are water, but suffice it to say it's extremely high. We're mostly water. And so if that were the case, then nothing would penetrate you in the light or the wavelengths or anything, because it would just have to stop at the skin, Was I reading that, saying that the infrared can penetrate up to 1.5 inches? That's deep.
Very.
So how could it get through all that water? So our rationale in the sauna is everybody's so busy. Talk about sympathetic pathways, and everyone's stressed out. It's just the culture that we're in. And so my idea evolved over a period of time. After we get you in the infrared sauna, maybe you're in there for 20 minutes, half an hour. That's a big investment of time these days. What else can I do to help you to heal? So the red light was evolved, and then the halotherapy, the salt therapy. We have vibration, resonant sound therapy, aromatherapy, chromotherapy. So while you're in the sauna, you can get all these all at once in that period of time. And also, normally, most people are alone in the sauna, so you can breathe, relax, and go into parasympathetic mode. So that's the concept, and that has borne out very well too.
Yeah, I use my sauna as my gen time and my sanctuary space from a healing perspective, as well as a busy world perspective. When I step foot into there, whether it be listening to my podcast that I enjoy, or some music, or sometimes it's just the 432 hertz frequency, you just kind of go in a zone. You've got the red light, you've got the aromatherapy. You just create this experience that is unmatched. And so I love bringing as much in. Some days I'm not in the mood for the red light, so I don't turn it on, or maybe I turn it on for a few minutes, at the tail end, but it's really become my wellness center in my home.
Yeah.
And it truly is. It's like having a wellness center under your own roof. So I know I want to be respectful of your time, and you and I could chat all day long, but I want to find out, on the heels of the wellness, anything new, anything exciting coming down the pipeline, or what's Clearlight working on? I know I put you on the spot.
Might have something.
You might have a couple things.
I'll tell you about the latest thing that we're going to present in the first half of this year, and we're in prototype phase, last prototype phase, where we're just talking about the lettering size on the product. But I wanted to say that just health and wellness is so big now. I think COVID catapulted it even more, where people were in this position that I don't know if I'm going to live or not, and nothing I can do. Well, what you can do is strengthen your body. So we're pleased that people are turning to natural and more old school, like saunas and things like that. So anyway, what we've been working on, and this has been in my mind for at least 20 years, and that was to put a unit out that will give narrow band UVB. UVB is a bandwidth, and especially between 232, 235, and that it's been shown to be very good for skin health, psoriasis, and also for vitamin D production. I think this unit's going to be amazing. It is amazing. I already have one in my hands and have been using it, and it works great. And the facility we make it in, it's not FDA approved, because to go in that route, this is a whole different thing. It's a wellness device, so we market it as that. But it's made in a facility that the entire facility of 26 buildings, they've been making just medical equipment. That facility is all FDA approved, so it's quite good. So it will be rechargeable, will work in the sauna or outside the sauna, use USB-C charging, and it's just amazing. And because the duration is normally just a minute, minute and a half, up to 3 minutes, depending on your skin type, you put your skin type in, it will prompt you. We have language prompts in 10 languages to start it off. You have to wear just regular sunglasses that we provide. But we're very excited. Something that's been on the back burner for 20 years. So I'm happy to finally get it. I think you're going to like it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know you and I've talked about it on and off for many years. I didn't know until recently, and obviously you're sharing it out today, but I didn't realize you guys are this close. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
And
we're there.
I mean, it's one of the many reasons why I created this show. I let my wellness center go during COVID, shifting gears into helping people bring more wellness into their home. The conversations are getting stronger. People are chatting and talking on ways that they can be more proactive, which I love. Instead of chasing your health backwards, what can I do to bring it into my wellness wheel and do this every day so that if, heaven forbid, I have an incident or a situation, I've got the tools right within my home, within my reach, and I can just shift right into that. So I'm excited about what is the new device called?
It's called the Sun One.
Oh, the Sun One. Oh, Aroma One,
Aroma One,
Sun
Halo One. Yeah, Sun One.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And
okay.
My favorite product of the ones we've come in, I love the red light, and I adore our salt therapy, which is capsules of 3% pharmaceutical grade in a micro mist that goes deep into the lungs. And that's an amazing product too. I love that one. And this one I've come to really, really like the feel of it, how it functions and everything. So we've done a good job. So I'm happy with it. And it's a lot of fun coming up with all this. So
I was going to say, how fun is this? What an exhilarating life you're living. This is beautiful. Creating wellness for everybody. So, well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for obviously our friendship and your energy to pour into me and to pour into my community. I look forward to continue conversations, but I really appreciate you taking the time today to go over the story of Clearlight, but also just talk about some of these hot topics that I think are really important to people. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, truly.
Okay, friends and fellow wellness warriors, thanks for tuning in today. If this show was helpful and inspired you, please head over to Apple or Spotify to rate, review, subscribe, and follow us, as well as share it with your friends and family. It's a fantastic way to grow the show, expand my reach, and teach others how to create a vibrant life they love. If you're ready to invest in your health and purchase a Clearlight sauna, hop on over to jenhellerlifestyle.com and send me a note. Thanks again for tuning in. I love you. I'm grateful for you, and I thank you so much for your support. You are the reason I do this work. You are the reason I do this show. And you are the reason I get up every single day with a burning desire in my soul. Cheers to your health and happiness, my friends. We'll see you next week. This podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to be substituted for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you think you have a medical condition, consult your licensed physician.